Adolf Hitler was born in Austria in 1889. His early life was marked by family conflicts and a lack of direction. Young Adolf clashed with his strict father, who dreamt of his son becoming a civil servant. Instead, Hitler found solace in his mother, a contrastingly warm figure in his life. School held little appeal to him, and his academic performance suffered. Art, however, provided a creative outlet for the young Hitler. He even nurtured dreams of becoming a painter. These artistic aspirations would later be twisted to serve the propaganda machine of Nazi Germany. Hitler's formative years were also influenced by the pervasive anti-Semitism present in Austria during that period. These prejudiced views found fertile ground in the young man's mind. This early exposure to hatred and intolerance would unfortunately have dire consequences later in his life. It's vital to remember that Hitler's story, though unique in its impact, is also a chilling example of how social and political climates can shape a person's worldview. And in 1907, Hitler moved to Vienna, the capital of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He was a young man with dreams and ambitions, hoping to carve out a future for himself in the bustling city. He hoped to pursue his artistic dreams, envisioning a life filled with creativity and recognition. Vienna, known for its vibrant art scene, seemed like the perfect place for him to flourish. However, his application to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts was rejected. Twice. This was a devastating blow to his aspirations, as he had pinned all his hopes on being accepted into this prestigious institution. This rejection deepened his frustrations and fueled a sense of resentment. He felt misunderstood and unappreciated, his dreams slipping further away with each passing day. Vienna at the time was a melting pot of cultures and ethnicities. The city was alive with a mix of people from different backgrounds, each contributing to its rich tapestry. Hitler, however, gravitated towards the city's undercurrents of nationalism and racial prejudice. He found solace in the divisive ideologies that blamed others for the societal changes and challenges. He spent hours in libraries, devouring pamphlets and books espousing German nationalism, anti-Semitism, and racist ideologies. These texts provided him with a skewed perspective, reinforcing his growing prejudices. Living in poverty and struggling to survive, Hitler found himself drawn to the rhetoric of populist politicians who blamed immigrants and minorities for the city's problems. This narrative resonated with his own feelings of disenfranchisement and failure. The seeds of his hateful ideology were sown during these formative years in Vienna, nurtured by the city's complex social and political landscape. The social unrest and political turmoil of the time only served to deepen his radical views. These years in Vienna proved crucial in shaping Hitler's worldview. The rejection, the poverty, and the exposure to extremist ideologies all combined to form a toxic mix that would later have devastating consequences. He came to see himself as a misunderstood genius, unfairly rejected by society. This sense of victimhood and perceived injustice became a central theme in his life. He developed a deep hatred for those he deemed responsible for his misfortunes and the perceived decline of Germany: Jews, Marxists, and the democratic system itself. This hatred would later be the driving force behind his actions, leading to one of the darkest chapters in human history. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 provided Hitler with a sense of purpose. For a man who had been drifting aimlessly, the war offered a chance to find direction and meaning in his life. He eagerly volunteered for the German army, seeing the war as an opportunity to prove his patriotism and escape his aimless existence. The fervor of nationalism and the call to arms resonated deeply with him, igniting a passion that would shape his future. Hitler served as a dispatch runner on the Western Front, a role that required both bravery and resilience. He carried messages between the front lines and the command posts, often under heavy fire. He experienced the horrors of trench warfare firsthand. The constant bombardment, the mud, the rats, and the ever-present threat of death left an indelible mark on him. Though he was a dedicated soldier, he never rose above the rank of corporal. His superiors recognized his commitment, but found him lacking in leadership qualities. Despite this, he romanticized his war experiences, later using them to bolster his image as a man of action and a leader who understood the common soldier. He often spoke of his time in the trenches as a formative period that forged his character and resolve. Germany's defeat in 1918 came as a bitter blow to Hitler. The armistice and the subsequent Treaty of Versailles were seen as humiliations imposed by the victorious Allies. He shared the widespread belief that Germany had been betrayed by its own people, a sentiment that resonated deeply in a nation grappling with humiliation and economic hardship. The post-war period was marked by political instability, economic turmoil, and social unrest. This sense of betrayal, coupled with his pre-existing prejudices, fueled his belief in the "stab in the back" myth. This theory suggested that Germany's military had not been defeated on the battlefield, but had been undermined by internal enemies. This theory, widely circulated in right-wing circles, blamed Jews and leftists for Germany's defeat. Anti-Semitic propaganda became increasingly prevalent, and Hitler's own prejudices found fertile ground in the post-war chaos. It was in the aftermath of World War I that Hitler's political ambitions began to take shape. Fueled by a potent mix of resentment, ambition, and a warped sense of patriotism, he joined the German Workers' Party, which would later become the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party. His oratory skills and fervent nationalism quickly propelled him to prominence within the party, setting the stage for his rise to power. After the war, Hitler returned to a Germany in turmoil. The nation was grappling with the aftermath of a devastating conflict that had left its mark on every aspect of society. The country was struggling with political instability, economic depression, and social unrest. The streets were filled with protests, and the economy was in shambles, leaving many Germans feeling hopeless and desperate. The Treaty of Versailles, which imposed harsh penalties on Germany, was deeply unpopular and fueled resentment towards the victorious Allies. The treaty's terms were seen as humiliating and unjust, exacerbating the already dire situation. In this climate of uncertainty and discontent, extremist ideologies flourished. Political factions on both the left and right vied for power, each promising solutions to Germany's woes, but often resorting to violence and intimidation. Hitler joined the small and insignificant German Workers' Party in 1919. At the time, it was just one of many fringe groups, but it would soon become a vehicle for his ambitions. This party, fueled by nationalist sentiments and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, would later become the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party. Its early members were a mix of disillusioned war veterans, nationalists, and those seeking a scapegoat for Germany's troubles. Hitler possessed a natural charisma and a powerful, albeit hateful, message that resonated with a growing segment of the German population. His ability to articulate the frustrations and fears of the masses set him apart from other political figures of the time. He was a captivating speaker, capable of mesmerizing audiences with his passionate speeches that tapped into their anxieties, frustrations, and longing for a return to greatness. His rhetoric promised not just a solution, but a revival of national pride and strength. He skillfully exploited the anxieties of the time, blaming Jews, communists, and liberals for Germany's misfortunes. By identifying these groups as enemies, he provided a clear target for the anger and resentment that many Germans felt. His message of national revival, based on a toxic mix of nationalism, racism, and anti-Semitism, found fertile ground in a country desperate for a solution to its problems. The promise of a restored Germany, free from the perceived threats of internal and external enemies, was a powerful lure for a population in despair. As the Nazi Party grew, so did its influence. Propaganda played a crucial role in spreading Hitler's message, using powerful imagery and slogans to rally support. The party's symbols and rallies became a common sight, embedding themselves in the national consciousness. The early years of the Nazi Party were marked by rapid growth and increasing organization. What started as a small, fringe group quickly transformed into a formidable political force capable of challenging the established order. Hitler's leadership and the party's aggressive tactics ensured that they would not remain on the fringes for long. The combination of a compelling narrative, effective propaganda, and ruthless ambition set the stage for the Nazi Party's rise to power.